Just on the 4 requests that were not taken, I would like to see the information.
Yes, sir.
On their requests.
Yes, sir. We'll get information on all 27 requests to each of you as part of your budget preparation materials.
Commissions and business bureau, I still say that we're dumping some money in there, and I just don't feel like we're getting a bang for our bucks to this. So we really need to look at that.
And, yes, ma'am, and I know that that group and many others would love to tell you about their requests and the degree in which they believe they're delivering value with those dollars.
I mean, they don't open after 5 o'clock, and that's when people come in, and they're not open on the weekends, so what's the point? But I know you can't answer that.
I'm not informed on their specific decisions.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more, man. The hubbub, we're gonna be recommending to fiscal year 11, 120,000. Is that fizzling out, that hubbub project?
That's there was in Hubbub's initial years and others who were here at the time, if there are specific questions that can likely answer that. But for the first period of years of Hubbub's existence, there was an agreement and arrangement with the city, between the city and the not-for-profit organization that governs it. That agreement has expired, so we're now in a sort of an annual request mode. I don't know how long or to the degree to which the request might be in the future. They are requesting for just an annual appropriation at this point in time.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor and council, tentatively we've set 2 dates, May 17th, June the 7th, is budget workshop days. Council committing details. We'll also require the first meeting in June 14th, that there will be a public hearing, that would offer an opportunity for anyone that wanted to make comment relative to the city's budget to make comment. So again, this is our first effort early in the process to provide council information, time to reflect on that information, and then we're going into those workshop meetings, and there's any numbers of approaches that may be taken. But we wanted to make council aware early and also give a very forward look in terms of decisions. It's very difficult to budget in each year in isolation. We need to look multi-year because if we're not careful, we can set ourselves up for much more difficult circumstances in the out years. And that's why we've taken, another reason we've taken this approach.
Okay.
So I think it'd be interesting to discuss how we might be able to create a system or a method of guidelines on weighing, who gets what allocation. It seems like now we've just, from what I can tell, have been funding across the board, but some organizations, like you mentioned, Hubbub, put on 100 events a year, and then other things I see on this list are one-time events that are fantastic, but don't necessarily create the same value for our community on an ongoing basis. So.
Yes, ma'am, and that's a factor in why we recommended it across the board. In a perfect world, I think staff would tell you that we would like to be bringing you information each year that says, here's how these investments performed relative to their scorecard or relative to your objectives with those dollars. And so that's a discussion that we just don't think there's simply time to have that discussion and arrive on what that ought to be between now and the time we need to make fiscal year 11 appropriations. But I think as an objective for next fiscal year, we could do a whole lot better than the blunt instrument, if you will, that's the across the board cut. We think we could try to find a way to tie it to the itches we're trying to scratch with these dollars.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
And we want to have a stormwater discussion. Jay Squire. Chris.
I'm sorry, I sat down. I didn't need to sit down. Jay's going to provide the specifics of staff's recommendations on the creation of a stormwater utility and user fee associated to fund that utility, And I know that we're all well grounded on this, but just for the sake of those who've chosen to be with us tonight, I thought I'd recap why we believe this is an important policy change to make. Our stormwater infrastructure, the best way to minimize costs of that going forward is proactive management of it, and we believe that doing so protects our environment and protects future taxpayer liability. The cost of repairing our stormwater infrastructure post-failure is significantly higher than preventative maintenance. We believe that these are costs that we're discussing today that are ultimately unavoidable, and therefore the best way to deal with them is smoothly and incrementally over time. And the last bullet there is one that we haven't tried to base a lot of our justification on, because we think, frankly, it's the right thing to do whether we were mandated to do it or not. But we are now subject to be in full compliance with the Federal Clean Water Act, which includes a number of unfunded mandates on the local jurisdiction. This will help our creeks and streams. It will be one of the most significant policy decisions you could make to improve our environment, and it also has the impact of lowering the cost long term of providing safe, clean drinking water, because if the source water is cleaner, the cost of providing it to our homes is relatively speaking reduced. This is frankly a much fairer way than property taxes to fund this particular service and these necessary investments. It is far more equitable to charge, to allocate the cost based on the impact on the system than it is on property valuation, and that's what we're proposing here. And this fee system creates the incentives that reward the responsible use of land in the city. And as you all know, we are limited to our 20-something square miles in the big picture, and so it's encouraging stewardship of every acre of city property is a long-term strategic objective that I think we'd all share. And frankly, and finally, the last bullet is city properties currently have levied upon them a 1 mil tax for the countywide stormwater effort, and we believe that there's a pretty good possibility that could be lifted if we went to a different mechanism of paying for our stormwater services. So those points just lead us to the why, and Jay's going to go through the specifics of how, including our recommendation on the fee.
Thanks, Chris. Mayor, council members. As Chris alluded to previously, this is just an extension of the education component we've been coming up with council for the last few months, and trying to get a plan together for our implementing a stormwater utility fee. We look at the drivers of this, going over sort of what Chris said previously. We have the state rules and regulations that we have to kind of abide by. The unfunded mandates we look at is the Clean Water Act of 1972 that every municipality is under as well. Also, the ongoing operations and maintenance of our stormwater infrastructure that our public works crews take care of every day. And we look at our long-term needs that we may have for our stormwater utility infrastructure. With that said, what we've come up with, we've kind of come up with an estimated program cost. We've identified areas that we need to have more resources devoted to as well. With that said, also we try to come up with a fair and equitable way of implementing this fee through a billing unit. We've determined a base